Ever pinch pennies all year for that one family vacation only to feel the budget blues afterwards? If so, I was just like you. After 3 vacationless years, I stumbled on credit card rewards travel and cracked the code to amazing vacations that I could actually afford.
Welcome to Wonderland on Points. In this podcast, you will discover how opening credit cards strategically can save you thousands on travel. We're not just dreamers anymore. We're 2 adventurous moms turning dreams into reality. Join us as we spill all the points and miles secrets.
And contrary to popular belief, you don't have to spend $1 million to earn 1,000,000 points. Traveling on credit card points isn't reserved for those with overflowing bank accounts. It's for everyday people like you and me, learning to turn routine expenses into free travel.
Consider us your points travel guides. This is Wonderland on Points. Let the adventure begin. Welcome back, friends. It's time for another episode of Wonderland on Points. And today we are going to feature a destination that, I'll be honest, Joe, I never thought we would do an episode about on this show.
I have to agree because neither of us are big drinker, partier, gambler types, but it turns out this location can actually be very family friendly, can actually be really great for those of us who do not enjoy the nightlife so much. So I'm actually pretty excited to highlight it today because it's really easy to get to for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's right. So today we're going to Las Vegas, everybody, and we actually are bringing back a 2-time guest because she became more than a guest. She became a friend, and that's Joy from the Savvy Travel Mamas. And so Joy's going to join us in just a bit. So the only time I've been to Vegas was when our family went to some of the national parks out west. We actually flew into Vegas, spent just one night, and then headed over to Zion and Bryce Canyon. So we did go on the Strip. We wanted to see the fountain show at the Bellagio, all that. But to me, and Joy is going to come on and she's going to tell us why we're going to put all this past us. But to me, I was overwhelmed. I was pregnant at the time and I was overwhelmed by the smell of marijuana in the air. I felt like I was getting a contact high and I needed to hold my breath anytime I walked down the Strip so that my poor baby in my belly would not be exposed.
Oh, how
so it put a
traumatizing.
taste in my mouth. It was a little traumatizing, but at the same time, the bright lights and big city of it all is really cool. So I would like for this to be a family-friendly destination. So I'm excited to listen to what Joy has to say about it.
Yeah, I am too, because I have never heard my player 2 get excited about any travel or destination really in the entire world, except for Vegas. He has been talking about wanting us to go to Vegas our entire 12-year relationship because he saw Cirque du Soleil there 15 years ago, and he said it was the best thing in the world, and we have to go see it there. It has to be that one. So I it's how do we build a trip around this that's more than that? Because what I'm not going to do is spend my trip in the casinos, So it was fun digging into this, and it's going to be really fun talking to Joy because turns out you don't have to be going 5-6+ hours to the national parks. There's even stuff right outside of Vegas, an hour or 2 away, that makes really, really cool, family-friendly nature day trips. So you can really build this out however you want and do a mix of city and nature. And I love that kind of trip.
Absolutely. And it's fun that on a trip through Vegas to whatever, national park or nature destination you want, you can get a mix, right? You can get an outdoorsy trip plus the fun of Vegas. So I think it's a good combo. Lots of points deals. You can usually get really fantastic deals on hotels and flights to Vegas. So let's bring on Joy and hear all about it. Welcome, Joy. We're so glad to have you back on the podcast.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. I love hanging out with you guys.
Okay, you've got some convincing to do because we just mentioned that we are hesitant, okay? Las Vegas gives us hesitation, but you told us so much about your trip that it made us think, okay, yeah, let's do a podcast episode about it because some really valuable information came out of our conversations with you. So we're pumped for you to change our minds today.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like you guys at first, I'm like, I have no desire to go to Vegas. I don't care about gambling. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not like raunchy comedy, inappropriate night show kind of girl. So Vegas was not on the top of my list, to be honest. But I was very surprised at how our trip went.
This is so exciting to hear about this. And when I saw, you gave us a little teaser of a reel that hasn't posted yet because you actually had a really fun partnership, but that allowed you to see a lot more of the city than I think you would have normally been able to do if you had just kind of gone and planned it yourself. So I'm excited to dig in. But let's start at the beginning. So you're coming from Nashville. So talk us through getting there and then accommodations once you got there, whether or not you decided to rent a car, those kinds of things.
Absolutely. Okay. So we flew out of Nashville, and normally I try to get direct flights because Southwest is headquartered here. So we're a hub for Southwest. So we have direct flights to a ton of places. But they were kind of pricey to Vegas. So I chose a later flight to save on our points because, I'm also have a family of 4 that I'm trying to use my points for. And this was just a getaway for me and my husband. But I ended up choosing a later flight and then leveraging the Southwest standby. Have you guys ever done that before?
I have not. I'm so excited to hear about this because, of course, I've heard about it, but it all seems a little like, I don't know. I just like knowing what's going to happen. So the idea of doing standby and messing with that makes me nervous. So please tell us the process. And don't forget to tell us the amount of points that you spent on what you actually booked.
Okay, so we had ended up, I picked a later flight that was going to have a layover in Denver. And what happened is I called Southwest when I found out our schedule shifted a little bit. And I just started asking them a million questions, right? Because if you get the higher level tickets, you can get like a same day change and not have to fly standby, and it's a lot easier. But I just do the want to get away fares because I'm not about to spend more points than I have to. Which then you fly standby and you have to wait until 2 hours before to confirm if you can get on it. So I called about 48 hours in advance and I asked a million questions to Southwest, and I asked them, like, which flight would be the best one to get on if we wanted to go standby. And then I asked them other questions like, how does it work? Really detailed, because I had no clue what I was doing. So she told me that if there's more than 15 seats available on a flight, you have a really good chance of making standby. So the direct flight that was just a couple hours before our original flight had 40 seats left on it. So we went ahead to the airport. Yeah, we went ahead to the airport 2 hours before that new flight we wanted, because you have to physically go check in at the counter. There is a way to do it in the app, but because I was using my companion pass, it's a little different. It's like when you have to change your flight with a companion, you have to cancel your companion and rebook. So I'm like, I don't want to mess with that because I don't want to lose our seats on our later flight in case. So we just showed up at the counter, checked in. They just switched everything right there and we went straight through. So it made it such an easy process I was not expecting. In worst case scenario, as long as you go standby on an earlier flight, like you don't lose your seat on your later flight.
It makes a lot of sense to me, although I can't remember the last time I flew where it wasn't like a totally full flight. So to me, it sounds crazy to think of there being 15 plus, especially 40 seats available on a flight. But maybe this had something to do with the time of year that you were going or whatever. But that sounds like it's absolutely perfect. Do you happen to remember ballpark what the points would have been if you had just booked that amazing direct flight?
It would have probably cost me well over 50,000 points for a round trip. And I have the companion pass, so that would have been just for me for a round trip, one person. So
and
the
instead
later
it cost
36,239 points plus our $22.
And that was round trip.
Round trip, yes.
Yeah. So 18,000 each way and then split that by 2 is really very reasonable.
Yeah, great deal. So roughly 9,000 points per person. Each leg is a steal. Love that deal. So that's how you got to and from
Yeah.
Vegas. Now, you guys rented a car because you didn't just stay right in Vegas. So, how did you go about your car rental? Did you use points? Did you earn points? Did you go with a major chain or Turo?
Okay, so actually this trip we did not rent a car. We just Ubered from the airport and stayed right off the strip. So this trip we stayed around the strip. Now I have been to Vegas. I went last summer with my son and we flew in and out of Vegas and did the family experience and we did rent a car. I'm not the best one for car rentals because I have a family member that works at Enterprise, so I never count car rentals because we always get a family discount on that.
I see. You got the
Yeah.
insider track.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so no car rental this time. Were the Ubers reasonable?
Um, I don't Uber except for when I travel. So to me, I felt like it added up really fast. But I don't see if you're
Yeah.
staying on the strip, like, or just staying around the heart of Vegas, like, I don't see why you would even have a car because the traffic sucks. Um,
Yes, it does.
and I mean, you want to walk most places, but you just get tired of walking. Like, it is. I was shocked at how, I think one day we walked 27,000 steps, like
Wow.
11,
Just in and around the
just
strip.
in and around the strips. It was like 11 miles by the end of the day. And you go there and we saw the Bellagio fountains at night. And then we're like, oh, let's walk through the Bellagio. An hour later, you're still inside the Bellagio exploring. And I'm like, crap, it's midnight. I'm tired. Well, then you still have to get back to your hotel and you start walking. And I'm like, I need an Uber. I can't do this anymore.
I can't do this anymore. I've reached my limit. Yeah, I always think, yeah, let's just Uber. We won't rent a car. But then if you do more than, say, 2 Uber rides in a day, a lot of times you've kind of added up quickly to what would have been the cost just to have a rental car. Of course, you got to think through hotels and whether they have parking fees. I know Turo has some really great deals for cars in Vegas, so don't overlook that one. Anybody who wants to book this trip for themselves, definitely consider that option. Okay, so how about where you stayed? Because you did a really unique way of, you did not use traditional points as we often do for a Hyatt hotel, for a Hilton hotel, for any of that. Instead, you did something, again, very brave. I'm learning that you're just very brave because you did a timeshare situation, and I am terrified to talk to someone about a timeshare.
So, funny story. The reason we ended up at Vegas is because my mom, who's the other half of Savvy Travel Mamas, she has been a timeshare queen since like the early 2000s, right? So she's always done timeshare stuff. This is her thing. And I'm like, I'm going to try it out. So a couple months ago, they got targeted to do a free timeshare stay. And a part of her perk was she was given 2 free nights. And she asked, she's like, look, if I don't want to use these, can I give them away? And they said, yes, they just have to be used within, I don't remember the time frame. It was like 6 months or something. It had to be used. And so when I called, and it was only specific places you could go. So mom gave it to me. And when I called, the choices were like Orlando, which we've been to a million times. And I'm like, no, I don't, I want this to be like me and my husband getaway.
Right.
It was Smoky Mountains, and I'm like, that's just right down the road from us. My kids would kill me if I went there without them again.
Yeah.
So Vegas, and I'm like, well, honey, we're going to Vegas. So we had 2 free nights that my mom had got for us, and then we ended up adding a third night, which was only $150. So it wasn't. I didn't feel it was crazy expensive to do it. We went back and forth on doing like a points hotel for our third night and switching, but my husband's like, you know what, we're getting in late. I don't want to deal with switching. Let's just buy a night. So we got 3 nights in Vegas for $150.
Okay, which hotel chain was this through?
We did IHG, which ended up
Okay.
being a really great location. So It was right, if you're familiar with Vegas, it was right across the street from the Sphere. So we could look out our bedroom window
Ooh.
and see the Sphere. We saw those lights all night long.
Ye- Okay, well, good and bad, but you pay a lot at some hotels. You pay more for a sphere view, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And which specific IHG hotel was this?
It was the Desert Vacation Club. And we could walk. It was a short walk. It was like a block. And then you were at the Flamingo or like the Link Promenade, so the huge Ferris wheel. So it's basically a block away from that. So we would walk up to the Link, and then that's where we would get either on the monorail if we were going to take that up and down the strip, or we'd walk through the little Link Promenade and get back out on the strip and just kind of walk from there. So it was a really great location because it was easy to get to the heart of things, but you were a little separated, so you didn't have as much chaos.
That sounds
That's good.
ideal.
Yeah. The one like downside, but maybe not a downside, was in order to get the free nights, we had to sit through the 2-hour presentation. So that was my first time doing that, and that was a big learning experience for me too. That was interesting.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear about that because it sounds like you kind of cracked the code for doing these over and over again and like figuring out how to get multiple of them while you're there. Just to clarify, was it the Holiday Inn Club Vacations at Desert Club Resort?
Yeah.
Or is it something else?
It was that one. That's an
Okay.
IHG. Yeah.
So I just picked some random dates in August, and it looks like they start at 24,000 points a night. So for anybody, if you did have one of these timeshare presentation stays and you wanted to extend it, you could transfer over some Chase points and do it that way.
So tell us more about the actual timeshare presentation. How did you get out of there without owning a timeshare? Because correct me if I'm wrong, your mom, who has led you in this way of timeshares, doesn't actually have a timeshare. She just knows how to listen to those presentations and get whatever free thing they are offering to you for listening. Is that correct?
So they actually do own Hilton Grand Vacation Clubs, and they've owned there for over
Okay.
25 years. And that's where we do like our big family vacations and stuff. That's where we always stay. So she does own. And I think that's why she gets targeted so much more, because if you own one, people tend to,
Yeah, they know.
yeah, and then people tend to like buy more to upgrade to take larger family or to get more time to be able to travel more. So when we went, you sit down and they start asking you a lot of questions during the presentation. And the first mistake that I made, because this is my first time, was I think I gave him a glimmer of hope, like we were going to buy. Hold on, let me back up. Before you even go in the presentation, they ask you a series of questions because you have to qualify. So you have to be married, or you can be like a single, or you can. There's different factors, right? They want you to be married, but you can be a single, or you can be like just a domestic partnership. But I think if you're a domestic partnership, like you have to have been together for so many years or something. And then you have to have a combined income of more than $50,000. So when you go to sit here, they ask you all these questions, right? And you just have to get through the questions.
Invasive.
Now, you're already on the trip. So what if you had said no to any of these questions? Because you're already using the free 2
They
nights.
actually asked me at time of booking, and then they reiterated it while we were
Okay.
there. If you say no,
Gotcha.
then they charge you for the room for what it should have cost. So that's the catch.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, no lying, people. Be honest.
Yeah. Yes. So they will charge you what it should have cost because they have your credit card. So we go there and we sit down and meet with the guy, and he starts, really selling the family package of it. And I completely understand the value of vacation rentals because vacation clubs, they've changed our family, right? Because there's 19 of us, and when we travel, it's a big number. So it's nicer to have like the apartment style space to be able to hang out more. So what you really want to do is you want to sit down and you want to be nice, and it's a 2-hour time commitment, and they'll tell you that up front. And you tell them up front, you say, look, I'm here because I got a free stay. And at the end of 2 hours, I'm going to be ready to go. I have no intentions of buying. And then they get this all the
You just straight up tell
Yes.
them.
That was the mistake I made. I didn't know to do that. I didn't have time to talk to my mom before I left because it was like just getting all the kids' schedule coordinated. They were coming to watch our kids. And I thought that I had to pretend like we wanted to buy. So I gave the guy a glimmer of hope. Well, 3.5 hours later, we finally got out of there. It was miserable. But my husband and I have decided that like we would absolutely do it again now that we know what to do the next time.
Okay, so this is so you are actually supposed to be totally honest about like, hey, we're here for the free stuff, not doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no.
Yes.
And that's okay. You
It's
still get the free
absolutely
stuff.
okay. Yes.
Because I think that would be my instinct too. It's like, well, we have to kind of like make it seem like we're here for a reason. Otherwise, are we just taking advantage of this whole thing? But I mean, I guess the whole point is they're like, all you have to do is sit here. We never said you have to buy anything. You just have to listen. You get the free stuff. If you say no, you say no.
Yeah.
I mean, no one said you had to
I
keep
can
an
tell you
open
right
mind.
now. No, I can tell you right now, I'm not strong enough for this. I am not. I know my limits, and I am not strong enough to go through a presentation like this.
You know, I remember because this is the only way we traveled as kids. I mean, we just really didn't have money for vacation. So my parents did some timeshare stuff. I remember going to Branson this way. I feel like we went to Orlando this way. And as kids, we were sitting in those presentations with them, hearing all this stuff with stars in our eyes. I can't remember if I've told this on the podcast before. So if I have, I'm sorry. But like we would start pressuring our guys, this sounds so great. It's only this much money per month, you guys. Like, don't take your kids to these because they will make your life even more miserable. Or maybe do take your kids and use them as a hard out. Like, tell one of them to start crying at a certain point, and then, oh, we gotta go. Sorry. I can tell you that there is no chance of my player two sitting through one of these. So I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do one because they do require your spouse to be there.
Yes. Yes, they do. Now I will say if you ever want to go, like you take your first trip to Vegas, you go on points and you want to be able to get back to Vegas and save your points, there are vacation club people literally everywhere. Every hotel you walk through. We got stopped. We were going to the Strat Hotel, which is like the really tall tower. You go to the top of the Strat. And we were going to go to the top of the Strat, and we got stopped in the lobby. And this lady comes up to us and says, do you guys want some free coupons? And we're like, sure. I don't know. What kind of free coupons are you going to give us? So she walks us over to this desk, and this guy's like, okay, I got 2 tickets to the comedy show. I am going to give you $300 to the restaurant. I'm going to give you $200 to gamble and whatever it was. And then he's like, and then you'll get 3 free nights for a future trip in Vegas if you go sit through this timeshare presentation. So, but these are all over Las Vegas. And you sit there and you're like, okay, well, how long is it? Right? And you start asking questions. They're all going to be, you should always expect 90 minutes to 2 hours. And make sure if you're doing this, you have the time in your trip because they will make you put down a credit card on the spot. And it'll be like, well, if you pay $50 or whatever it is, we're going to book this appointment for you. And then you'll get your money back when you show up at the appointment. Plus, you're going to get all these freebies. So Vegas is like a really easy way to keep going back for free because every mall you walk through, there's always a desk where somebody's stopping you. And they'll be like, hey, can I give you some free coupons? And I mean, it's everywhere in Vegas.
I would do it. But I mean, it's just not in our budget to say yes. So that's not even remotely a problem for me. Plus, now that we're in the points and miles world, it's like, sorry, I don't need your timeshare. Like I got it. But would I sit for 2 hours for somebody to give me like $300 for dinner, tickets to a show? Yeah. If I was there for 4 or more days and I didn't feel like losing 2 hours was like a massive chunk of my valuable time, I would just go in with the plan to find one of these people and do it. And I'm like, I kind of sounds fun to me, like a challenge.
I mean,
you know, we're going to shop around the free offers. I'm sorry, the person down there offered us $600 for restaurants. So we're going to have to go that direction. Negotiations.
You know, the thing is, you look at it, is part of the package is almost always free nights in Vegas. So we looked at it as, well, we could come back, and if whatever we missed this time, we can do next time. But we just ran
Mhm.
out of time on our trip to really do any more, even though I wish we could have.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the things that you did do, because you guys went on all kinds of adventures and you leveraged, which was awesome, your Instagram following to link up with a tour or two to get those sponsored, which is awesome. So tell us a little bit about the activities that you did.
So I partnered with this company called Go City, and it's basically a city pass that you can buy in. You can buy like a set number of attractions, and you have a list that you can choose from, or you can purchase a all-inclusive city pass where you can basically do as much as you can cram in. So we had the 3 attraction pass, and we ended up doing the top of the Strat, which was really cool because I thought we were just going to go up there once and be done, but you can go back in the same day. So we went first thing in the morning to go see Vegas by day, and then we went back at night to go see Vegas by night to go see all the lights of the strip and
Oh, I
everything.
love that.
So it was really
Fun.
cool.
Which one was your favorite?
Oh, morning or night?
If somebody had to pick, day or night? Yeah.
Day.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Good to
Yeah,
know.
you can just see so much more and really make out what it is during the day, and it was less crowded up there.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you're brave enough, there's rides at the top of the Strat. We were going to do one of them, but we kind of wussed out because it's really, really tall. It is the second tallest observation deck, and it is the tallest observation tower in the United States.
Okay, were the rides included?
So they're like an additional charge. But with the Go
Okay.
City Pass, one of the options is you can just do the top, or you can do a top plus a ride.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that sounds fun and terrifying.
It is high. People bungee jumped off the top of it.
Nope.
We
Absolutely
watched
not.
like 4 people
Oh,
bungee
no.
jump off the top of it, and my heart dropped. I could never do that.
Mm-mm.
I love heights, but I don't like bungee. I don't want my stomach to drop. If I could soar off the top and go flying off smoothly, then I'd be all for it. All right, what else did you do besides the top of the Strat?
Okay, so then because we had 3 attractions. Our second attraction was we did this thing called a go-kart tour, which is like this little 3-wheeled. I don't know how to describe it. It's not really a golf cart. It's not like a Polaris. It's not an ATV. It's just like this little car thing, and it has 3 wheels on it, and it holds 2 people. So like someone's in front, someone's in back, but you have your own seats. You're buckled in, and it's a self-guided tour, and you get to drive yourself around the city. So they have different options. They have like a strip tour, they have a downtown Vegas tour, they have a Red Rocks tour where you can go out to the Red Rocks and go drive around.
Ooh.
Yes, so our pass came with a 1-hour tour, and we chose to do the downtown Vegas tour because we were staying at the Strip, and I'm like, well, we don't know anything about downtown Vegas, so let's go check that out. So it was really cool to learn like the mob history of Vegas. There's a place downtown called Container Park, which is all made out of shipping containers.
Yes, I've heard of this.
It was really,
Container Park looks
it was
awesome. I
cool.
gotta say, if I did go to Vegas, I think I would go hang out at Container Park.
I mean, the
Yes.
playground at Container Park, all I could think about was, man, my kids would think this place was amazing. It was such a cool looking playground.
Okay, so hot tip for people bringing their families to Vegas. There's family things. There's a playground.
Yes, there is. And it's surrounded by
And-
restaurants, so you can.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm confused about how you get the mob history when you're on the back of a car or like in a car, like going down the street. Is someone talking in your ear? Are you stopping at each place and listening to a guide? Like, how does this work? I'm having trouble conceptualizing it.
Okay, so there is a phone that they give you that has like a GPS in it, and she talks to you the whole time. And there's speakers in the little car like above your head. And I think there were some behind me, and there were some in front of my husband. And so the speakers, like, it was loud. And she's talking to you the whole time. And so it's on a set path, and she's telling you, like, where to turn, where to go. And as you're driving by stuff, she's telling you the history of it. So, like, we drove
I love that.
by the Neon Park, which we didn't get to go into, but it's like all the old Vegas neon signs they put into a museum, because I guess when they tore down the first hotel, all the locals got really mad because they trashed the neon signs and they felt like a part of Vegas history was gone. So
Yeah.
downtown Vegas, there's the Neon Museum, but then the streets are filled with like these old neon signs that are just like down the median, and it's so cool to see them. And she just talks to you the whole way.
That sounds
Yeah.
fun. I would go there.
And then you learn the mob
Honestly,
history.
which is so fascinating.
Yes.
We just watched Goodfellas for the first time, which might have been a little too much for me. I'm not really a violence person, but holy cow. What a life. But I think mob history is very, very interesting. And this does sound like a really good thing to do first, because it sounds like you really oriented yourself and you could have figured out where you wanted to go back after that. So this sounds like a very fun way to just acclimate yourself into the city a little bit.
Yeah. Now, it was like probably a $20 Uber ride from the Strip out to downtown Vegas. So we did have to Uber back and forth because we were downtown, and that's where the go-kart headquarters is too. So
okay, well, if Ubers are costing $20 a piece down and back, those, $90 for 2-day rentals are starting to look really good, depending on if your hotel has free parking or not. But it almost seems like it's a good place to have a car. Did you get a sense for what parking is like? Obviously not in the Strip because you're staying there, so you'd probably be walking there. But if you're heading to downtown, did you get a good sense for if you had a car, this would be an easy place to find parking? Or does it seem madness?
So when we went on our go-kart tour, I did see quite a few parking lots. There was street parking. And we did physically stop and get out at Container Park while we were on our tour. And the parking lot there was $1 for the first hour. So I don't remember what the fee is afterwards, but I know we only paid $1 to park the go-kart there and then go to Container Park.
Okay. I'm just trying to put like a car budget in place in people's heads so they can kind of understand which options to weigh. Don't forget to check parking fees when you book your hotel. Okay.
I honestly, like, depending on where you're staying, if I were going to Vegas, okay, if I had my family, I would probably try to stay off Strip, and I would have a car. And I would do more of the touristy things and maybe save the Strip for like a daytime walking activity, right? Because the Bellagio fountains are going all day long. The like Circus hotel activities, like all of these hotel things that are free that you can do, they're going all afternoon and evening long, right? So you can catch that at any time of the day. If you're not going with children, and you're really going to like experience the Strip a little bit more, and you're staying on the Strip or closer to the Strip, I probably wouldn't do a car. The only reason that we did a Uber as much as we did was we had our go-kart tour that we had to get off. The Strat is a little bit farther down the Strip from where we were. And we just got tired of walking. We walked 27,000 steps in one day. So, I mean,
crazy.
that was like 11 miles. And these hotels, you look at it, it's so flat, and you're like, oh, look, the Mandalay Bay is right there. We couldn't even make it down to the Mandalay Bay because you even try to go find the monorail, which there's like 3 separate monorail lines. So there's like one monorail line that's on one side of the street of the Strip that goes from like, it doesn't even cover the whole Strip. It goes from like MGM down to right before the Strat. And so that's on one side, but it's behind all the hotels. So to even get to it, you have to walk through these massive hotels, which alone is going to take you like 30 minutes just to walk through the hotel to get to it.
Goodness gracious.
And then on the other side of the Strip, there is 2 separate monorail lines. One goes from like the Bellagio, the Aria, and one other hotel. So we rode that one to like work our way down that side of the strip a little bit. And then there's another one that's all the way down past the New York, down at the other end by like the Luxor and the Mandalay Bay. And so like they have their own monorail line.
Did you just buy a monorail pass, or was it cost per ride?
So we bought an all-day pass to the monorail, and only one of them charges. The ones that are with like the Bellagio and the Aria, and then the Luxor and the Mandalay Bay, and the Excalibur, those are free. Those are like what the guests use to get around because those hotels are massive.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. And just a thought for people, if you're going outside of Vegas to do things, you could always just get a car for one day, and return it early and skip parking fees. I mean, it seems like it would be like $40, which seems pretty reasonable to me, especially if you're going to go to some of these places that are just an hour or two away and have a whole day there. So, did we get to your third activity yet or not? I don't think we did.
Sorry.
Let's do it.
Our third activity, we picked a night show. We did the Piano Man night show, which was located inside Planet Hollywood. And it was an Elton John, Billy Joel mashup. So we had a lot of fun. We were some of the younger ones in the crowd, but we danced and sang along with all the old ladies to some Elton John music and some Billy Joel and had a blast.
Vegas might be the only place where you get all the old grannies who love to gamble. You know, there's some grannies that love to gamble, and then also really young people. I feel like it's a very interesting mix of people in Vegas.
Okay, so I did attempt gambling because I'm like, we're in Vegas. I don't really know what I'm doing. I've never done this. We walked through a casino. We watched some people, and I'm like, they're just sitting there pushing a button. But we looked at it. We couldn't figure out, like, do you put money in? How does this work? What do we do? So I'm the idiot that walked up to this guy, and I'm like, well, what do you do? How do you do this? Tell us, like, well, you go check in at that desk over there, you get a play card, and then you take your play card, and then you use your cash from there. And of course, me, when I go to the desk and I get my play card, I'm like, now, can I use a credit card in the machine? The lady's jaw dropped at me, and she goes, oh, honey, no, we don't allow credit cards, and you cannot use a credit card in the machine. We would take all your money. So I just kind of laughed.
You're like, I'm just trying to get some points for my gambling, okay?
So I put a $20 bill in. We used a $20 limit. And about after 20 minutes of sitting there pushing a button and going up and down at like $15, we cashed out. I'm like, I've lost $5 and I'm bored. I can't do this anymore. I don't know how people sit there and do that for hours. It was not my thing.
I don't know. Nope, that would not be my thing either. I cannot stand the idea of losing money over nothing. I know that some people who have a lot of skill will go and play poker and then walk away with hundreds of dollars, and that must be great for you. But that is not the way that I choose to do things. I would rather go spend that $5 on something delicious that I waste by eating it. And that's about as much waste as I am willing to do. It is fleeting, but it's delicious.
You know, so as a non-gambler and a non-drinker, some of the really cool stuff to do in Vegas, we talked about the Bellagio fountains, but every hotel has their own little, like, entertainment area, right? And I'm not talking shows, and it's all free. So inside the Bellagio, there was this amazing garden that was just all made out of flowers. It was a botanical garden, and it was these massive displays. It was so gorgeous to walk through.
That is nice.
Yeah, inside the Flamingo, they have a real flamingo exhibit, so you can go see the real flamingos. Like, there's just something to do inside of every hotel that's free and to go see. So you could spend all day walking just from hotel to hotel and exploring the free stuff. Like the Circus, we didn't make it there, but it has like circus entertainers that you can go watch them walk through the hotel and juggle or do whatever they're doing. So
see, these are all the kinds of things that make me think like families in Vegas could totally be a thing. Totally.
There were lots of kids. There were.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
Mary Ellen, when you talked about the smells earlier, there are a lot of smells in Vegas. Last year when I went...
Also, a lot of butt cheeks.
Yes, there are a lot of butt cheeks.
So if you have kids, you have to know that there's going to be women standing out on the strip and they're going to be wearing the gorgeous costumes, but they're also likely to be thong costumes. I'm just going to tell you now.
I would make sure if you go with your family, I would, as I said, stay off strip and go during the day to go explore the hotels. Just be prepared for some butt cheeks, be prepared for some smells. I've been in Vegas in July and now in April, and I would take April any day because the weather was actually a little cold and it was much
Oh, wow.
nicer. Because when we went in July, it was like 110 degrees at still 9 o'clock at night. And it's just like this hot breeze of marijuana blowing at you nonstop, and it was awful. So pick your time of year wisely.
Yeah, it was late June when I went, and that ended up being, no, I'm sorry, late May. That ended up being a really great time to go to Vegas, but also to Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon, because when we were hiking, there weren't quite as many people there as peak summer, and it also wasn't as painfully hot because we did some really long hikes, and those hikes can get dangerous in the really peak of summertime because of the extreme heat. So if you can swing late May, that was a really good time too.
Yeah, that's what stopped us last summer when I went. We have you guys heard of Valley of Fire State Park?
Yes.
Love Valley of Fire. Yes, we went there. It was
I
fantastic.
was so bummed because the path to hike to go see the fire wave was blocked off because it was too hot. So I couldn't go see the fire
Oh,
wave.
yes.
Yeah, I was so mad about that. But that state park is
I
amazing.
have a picture of us posing right beside a sign in Valley of Fire State Park about the, extreme heat, extreme danger. And we thought the sign was cute to take a picture with because it wasn't actually that hot. But you do have to be so careful in the summer.
Yeah, I think my phone overheated in like 2 seconds. It was awful. I had to keep putting my phone in my
Goodness
car.
gracious.
Wild.
Yeah.
They make these temperature controlled pouches that you can stick your phone in that protects them from either heat or cold.
Ooh.
So they are kind of weird. They look like they're made of like aluminum foil almost, and they're kind of thick, but you slide your phone in there and it keeps it cool if it's super hot out, and it keeps it hot if it's super not hot, but it keeps it warm if it's super cold out. So if you like ever have to leave your phone in a car for any reason, you're not taking it with you and it's 100 degrees, like that's kind of why I know that those exist for that reason. But an option if you're hiking in the, Fire Valley.
There you go. What about food? Was there any really great restaurants that you guys enjoyed while you were
There
there?
are a ton of great restaurants. Now, because I'm a points person and I'm cheap, we did not. That was one thing we didn't really experience while we were there. Our two big things we did were we did brunch in the Eiffel Tower at this restaurant called Mon Ami Gabi,
Ooh.
and that was
Fun.
so good. I loved that whole experience because you're in the Eiffel Tower, but it's located at the base of it, and it's like this little cafe that the whole side is windows, and they have outdoor seating too, so you can watch the strip while you're there. And it was just a really cool experience. The food was really good. And it was my husband's birthday right before we left. So I had put in the reservation, like we're celebrating my husband's birthday. And they brought us this free dessert. And I don't even know what it was, but it was delicious. It was like this pastry filled with ice cream and covered with chocolate syrup and powdered sugar. And I don't know, but it was really good.
Yum.
And then our second restaurant we did was at an Italian restaurant, but it was called Lavo. Yes, Lavo, Lavo. It was down in the Palazzo, which is a part of the Venetian. So it was really good too. For
By the way,
restaurant, yes.
that it's bookable on Hyatt Points. Just FYI, guys. Palazzo Venetian, you can book on Hyatt Points. And I was looking through the calendar because this is not our normal pricing. This is pricing based strictly upon how much it costs per night. And there are certain times per year, such as at the beginning of December, where you can stay in their king suites, because it doesn't appear that this hotel even has normal rooms. Like the base room is a suite, at least based on what I was searching. But I found newly remodeled luxury king suite for 43,000 points a night. So I'm just saying, if it's like a fancy thing, the Venetian and the Palazzo are like 10 out of 10 at least from what I've heard. Obviously, I've not been to Vegas. I don't really know. But if you were saving up for a fancy, romantic weekend away, just know it's possible on Hyatt points to stay at these really luxurious properties. And if you scan and pick dates according to their kind of low season, you might be able to find a pretty reasonable deal. I just had to say that since you said Palazzo Venetian.
Speaking of that, though, a lot of the hotels on the Strip will associate with either Hilton or Marriott. So last summer, we spent our one night in Vegas in the New York, and that's part of the Marriott family. And then, like the Flamingo, I think is Hilton, and I can't remember what the like MGM and Bellagio and those are, but they're all part of one of the families. So you could very easily do Vegas on points and stay right on the Strip.
Totally. I was actually shocked that the Waldorf Astoria for some dates starts at 85,000 Hilton points a night. So we know it's only half that if you're transferring from Amex, or if you happened to take advantage of that elevated Hilton offer that just happened, then maybe you could take a nice fancy weekend away in Vegas with those points / free night options.
So let's go. We keep mentioning over and over again, we're mentioning like, oh, there's cool things to do an hour outside of Vegas, just right outside of Vegas. So let's chat about some of those things. We mentioned Valley of Fire State Park, which is phenomenal.
Guys,
loved it.
Hour and a half drive. It's only an hour and a half away.
Yeah. What are some other options that we have?
Hoover Dam is, I want to say that was probably like an hour away when we did it last summer. So Hoover Dam, and you can go to Hoover Dam like outside of business hours and still drive up and see it. You just can't go inside the like visitor center or anything, but you can still see it and experience it and get in the parking lot and get your picture. So a little bit past Hoover Dam, if you drive more towards like the south rim of Grand Canyon in Arizona, is historic Route 66. Which is where like the movie Cars got a lot of their inspiration from on that stretch from oh crap, what's the name of the town?
Radiator Springs. I'm now singing Rascal Flatts, Life is a Highway in my head. I'm going to spare you all, but
every time.
Yeah, so there's this historic Route 66 stretch, and as you drive through it, you can see all of the like you can see the inspiration for it, right? Like all the little shops of where it's there. And now there were some cars, like real life cars that lived on Route 66 that were historic cars that were characters in the movie. And there's this little town called Seligman. So if you have kids, you need to know this. You need to go to Seligman and drive there and take your kids because there is amazing photo spots. They have all of the cars characters. And you can, it's just like, it brings the movie to life. It's so cool. It was the main town, but they grabbed so much off all of Route 66 for the movie.
I love that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And then Grand Canyon is, you have both South Rim and North Rim. It just depends which way you go from Vegas. They're both about 4 hours each way, if I remember correctly. And there are lots of day trips in and out of Vegas too. Like if you don't want to rent a car, there's a lot of guided tours you can do that go straight from Vegas. That'll get you to both Grand Canyon. There's the West Rim, which is not part of the national park, but there's tours that go there too. You have to pay for that one a little bit more because it sits on an Indian reserve. Vegas is just a really good central point. It's an easy airport to get in and out of. It's an easy place to get a rental car, and you can stay in Vegas a couple of days, drive up to Utah, explore, go down to Arizona, see the Grand Canyon. Like there's just so much you can do from Vegas, especially with your family. Like, so you can go there and spend a day and then go and explore all these other people and like bookend your trip back in Vegas. So you're flying in and out and getting those easier flights.
Yeah, I think next time I go to Vegas, I might go over towards California. Death Valley National Park is also over there, only 2 hours away. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, something else that's over there as well is Mount Charleston, which is on the list for like amazing day trips. I was researching stuff that was like 2 hours or less. So the things that I am intrigued by that you might want to look up: Red Rock Canyon, which was one of those Go City options, which I would definitely probably have done that, to be completely honest. That sounds amazing to me. I was also very intrigued by Lake Mead. I saw a video of it floating around on Instagram. I actually sent it to you guys. It is a reservoir created by the Hoover Dam. It is like an hour outside of Vegas, and it looks gorgeous, like just a gorgeous place to spend the day. Area 51, okay, like nerd, but I gotta go see. It looks amazing. And then Nelson Ghost Town. Have you guys heard of this place? A historic mining town. Looks like my cup of tea. Okay, I love that kind of thing. I love those kind of restored old ghost town vibe places. These are kind of all sprinkled around. So you would kind of have to pick a direction and go with it, see what's clumped together in the direction that you choose to go. But there is stuff, literally, like you said, it's such a great jumping off point because basically 360 all around the whole place. You pick a direction and you can go somewhere cool, and you're not even having to go that far. I also thought the Mojave National Preserve looked really cool, and that's only like 45 minutes away. So many choices. And I end every episode on cue by saying, I would like to go to this place now. I'm never going to go anywhere because I can't make a decision. Too many choices.
It's true. Too many choices, too many places to go. I will say too, last minute tip for anybody who does choose to fly into Vegas. If you've never been over there, maybe you're an East Coast family, you've never gone out west, make sure your kids have a window seat, or if you're not flying with them, you have a window seat, because it is just really awesome to look out the window and see how the landscape of our country changes as you fly over there. Specifically when you get close, when you're flying over, you start seeing the canyons. Well, first you might get a glimpse of the Rockies, depending on where you're flying from, and then the Grand Canyon. There's just a really cool views out the window. So don't miss that. Even if you're an aisle seat kind of person, it might be worth the window seat for this trip.
And you can see Hoover Dam from the plane too as you're coming in and landing. And yes, that part of the country, I just remember feeling like I was on Mars because it is so different.
Okay, before we wrap up, is there anything else that we missed that we need to know? Did we talk about the price of the Go City Pass for anybody that would want to take advantage of that? And do you feel, honestly, even though it was it was a work trip, if you were to go back and do it for your family, would you buy the Go City Pass and take advantage of it for those paid activities or not? Give us the tea here.
It was okay. So you can't really compare them to like Viator or Get Your Guide, right? Because that's kind of their competitors. But I like that you get this whole list you can pick from, and they have an app, and you just get like a barcode that you just scan everywhere you go, and it's so easy to use. And the list was big, but it took away the overwhelming of planning, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
It helped me narrow down the planning of what we wanted to do, and it made it all in one place instead of searching like a million blogs on, well, what am I going to do? What's going to be the best thing to do? Like, how do you pick this?
Right.
I would. Now, they're not in every city because they're in all your major cities, New York, Chicago, London, everywhere, your major cities. So I think I would, actually. It was really easy.
How much was it for the 3 attraction?
So for the Explorer Pass, which is where you get just a number of attractions and you pick from the list, 2 attractions is $69 and 3 attractions is $99. Just for reference, like night shows can get up there in the price, right? And they have a handful of night shows on there, not like your big ones, right? Not if you're going to go see like Carrie Underwood or something. Those aren't on there. But they do have some Cirque du Soleil options on there, by the way, Joanna.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. So that's for the 3 attraction Explorer Pass, which is what we had. And then the all-inclusive packages go by day. So there's like a 2-day all-inclusive for Vegas that's $154, or the 3-day all-inclusive is $269.
Honestly, that sounds like a really good deal if you can really cram a lot of those things in there. You got to
agree.
imagine if you can max that out and do 5 or 6 things per day, that comes out to very little per activity. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Joy can give us a link to the Go City Pass, and we can drop it in the show notes for you guys if you want to look into grabbing that for your next trip to Vegas.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. I am seeing some more value in Vegas, and realistically, I will go to Vegas again because I love outdoorsy stuff. And so I'm going to be flying through Vegas to go do all kinds of adventuring. So I think I have some things now on my list, the container park, maybe the neon light signs, that Go City Pass. I have some things now, some tools for next time I go back so I don't just get overwhelmed by it all. So thank you so much for sharing with us. Remind everybody where they can find you online.
Yes. So my mom and I are Savvy Travel Mamas, and that's SAVVY Travel, and Mamas is MAMAS. We are on Instagram, and that is our handle.
We will
Awesome.
link you up there, and we appreciate you being here with us today. And I'm also going to drop our old episode with you in the show notes in case anybody missed it. They can hear our fun interview with you and your mom, who has been in the points game longer than any other person that we have met. She is a true expert.
Maybe longer than we've been alive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. She's the OG of points.
Yes.
See you next time, guys.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this show today, please consider writing us a review or clicking 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please subscribe and follow along so that you never miss an episode.
You can follow the podcast on Instagram or YouTube at Wonderland on Points Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Family Travel for the Win with the number 4.
And you can find me on Instagram at Points to Wonderland.
If you're thinking about getting a new travel rewards credit card, consider using the links in our show notes. Using our links helps to support us and keep our podcast going so we can provide you with all the latest tips and tricks when it comes to traveling on points.
And if you aren't sure which card is right for you, shoot us an email at wonderlandonpoints@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you here next time.